Connecting the beginning to the end. And when I did it, I did it saying my legacy, my purpose. When I wrote it out, my legacy, my purpose. Because in order for us to be able to connect the beginning to the end, we have to have ownership of it.
Right.
Well, man, one of the biggest aha moments that I got about development is when I was having a conversation with my cousin's boyfriend, who's a realtor, and he's one of those entrepreneurial spirit guys who wants to be involved in much more. And so whenever we get together, we just have really great conversation. So we were talking about land and how you can't begin to develop or do anything on the land until you own it, or someone has given you temporary use of that by way of a lease or by way of some type of shared co-op of this property. Because anything that you do, once you start to develop on things that you don't take ownership of, it's not yours. It's not yours. Build a house on property that's not owned by you. You can leave, and you can leave that house right there. You can choose to tear it up. It doesn't matter to me, but that's on my property. So if you leave, that's it's up to you. But you got to go. Thank you. I appreciate it. But when you talk about ownership, that means that I've set aside. These are my 40 acres in Colorado. We'll come back to that later. These are my 40 acres in Colorado, um, and I'm going to develop on it. Matter of fact, I'm going to split it into 10 pieces, and the 10 pieces for 4 acres each, and build something for everybody that I love and I care about. We're going to create this. Now I can do whatever I want to do within the parameters of those 40 acres because I own it, so I can develop it. And as teachers, we have to get to the point to say, before I can leave a legacy, before I can live my best life, the key word in front of that is my. So your best life can't be coming to school and being rude to everybody at your campus. That can't be your best life. Your best life can't be not involving yourself in the school culture because you have too much other stuff to do. Then why are you working in a school? The whole purpose of a school and to make it work is the collaboration that happens between teacher to teacher. But if you don't own yourself first, you can't offer yourself up for development, which then means that you can't change and shift and modify how you deal with things in the moment. So the first piece of that, my legacy, my purpose, is owning that this is mine. I've made this decision. My wife and I've been talking a lot about, ever since the cruise, before the cruise actually, about having teachers to redevelop their why. Why did you get into this field? Why? What was it about being overworked, underpaid, underappreciated that said, I want to go do that? There had to be something intrinsic that jailed inside of you that said, I want to go do this. And then to see it through to fruition. So, what was that? And when you get to that, own it. Own it. Then you can start developing and connecting the beginning to the end. Looking and saying, okay, what do I want kids to say about me when it's all said and done? You know, some people think that it's kind of morbid, but I think about my funeral. I think about my obituary. I think about the people who will get up and speak on my behalf. Um, I would hope that they would have to clear room for the thousands of students that I've already touched because I've made such a connection that they would want to come out and say their final goodbye to someone who had an impact in their life. Um, between last summer and this summer, we've lost some real pioneers in education. Miss Christian taught for over 50 years in Houston, and amazing woman. And I watched at her funeral that she had state representatives who she had taught. She had doctors who she had taught, lawyers who she had taught. And these people got up and they spoke of what she was able to do for them then, and how coming to this now just made sense. I hadn't seen her since then, but something said I can't let her leave without saying goodbye one more time. When I think of legacy and what I want, I think of that moment. And even though I won't be there within my physical realm to witness it, I know that the work that I put in right now, which gives me my purpose, I know that the work that I put in right now, it's going to show forth that that's what I want and that's what I desire. I'm not in here for part-time work. This wasn't a temporary positioning. This is my calling. This is my true vocation. I want to become a master craftsman of education, and just like I know you do, but we don't understand really how to connect our purpose because we don't have the end game. My end game gives me my purpose, my end game, because that's what's going to drive me. What's that vision of where I want to be? That gives me my purpose. That tells
Mhm.
me how much work I got to do.
You know, and it reminds me of what Gary Vee is always saying, that he reverse engineers everything.
Hmm.
So he
Hmm.
starts with the end, you know. So in this case, if we're really working, like you said, it's impossible coming into this profession to know exactly what's going to happen. You know, it's impossible to know those things. But if you start with that, this is what I want the end state to be, and it's so much easier to start, for me it is, to start from the end state and work backwards to where I'm at, than to start where I'm at and try to have the foresight and the vision to predict all of these things going forward to get to that end result. Because, you know, there's so many things. I think for me though, the more I reverse engineer where I want to be, when when unexpected things happen, both good and bad, the more ready you are for them, because you've already played it out in your mind. If you're only working from this point, you know, from your starting point, your purpose, to your end point, you have a very linear, like, these are the steps I'm going to take. And I faced that in my teaching career. Like, I had those moments where, like, oh, this is not what I planned. And it if you're not, you can't be ready for all the situations, but if you haven't built that into your plan, into your um and it's more of just an attitude of and an understanding, like, that this is going to happen. Because once you start to understand that, I've seen just as many really unexpected wonderful things happen as unexpected not so wonderful things happen.